The AI race is absolutely on. But what if we've been looking at the wrong finish line? What if the next big winner isn't a tech company at all? Today, we're going to talk about a different kind of power player in the AI revolution, one that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time.
For years, the story of AI has been pretty simple, right? It's all been written in silicon and software. We've been obsessed with the cloud platforms, the chip makers, and the app builders with their mountains of data. And for a long time, that's where the story seemed to end. But what if there's a missing chapter?
Because really, when you strip it all back, past all the hype, past the fancy algorithms, what's the one physical thing this entire revolution is completely built on? Yep, power. Good old-fashioned electricity. Because without enough of it, at the right cost and the right place, all of this incredible AI technology is just, as one writer put it, a pipe dream wrapped in GPU shaders. It's just nothing. All right, so let's dig into this. We're going to explore why the AI story is so quickly becoming an energy story and how that one single shift completely changes the entire game. So this right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the problem. For years, we all thought the biggest hurdles to scaling AI were a lack of processing power, getting enough GPUs, and a shortage of brilliant engineers. But now, those challenges are being totally eclipsed by something way more fundamental: raw physical energy. And look, this isn't just a theory. The dream of having infinite compute is running headfirst into the very real, very physical limitations of our actual power grids. Just take a look at this number. The International Energy Agency is warning that by 2030, the energy demand from data centers is set to more than double. And get this, for the AI-specific centers, that demand could literally quadruple. That isn't just growth, that's an absolute explosion. And it's not just us saying it. This quote from the Stanford Review, it just nails the strategic shift. They argue that energy is becoming the binding constraint. In other words, access to power is what's literally going to determine who can afford to build the future of AI and who gets left on the sidelines. To really wrap your head around the scale here, just think about this. A single large data center can now suck up as much electricity as 100,000 homes. These aren't just server rooms anymore. They are massive industrial-scale power consumers. They're basically the factories of the 21st century. So if energy is the new bottleneck, how are the tech giants reacting? Are they just going to wait for the lights to go out? Not a chance. They are already making huge strategic power plays to lock down their own energy future. And make no mistake, this isn't just about looking green for a press release. This is about pure survival. They're building their own solar and wind farms. They're even exploring nuclear power partnerships. The new game isn't just about paying for compute anymore. It's about paying for power, for grid resilience, and for the huge geographic advantage of being right next to that power source. Okay, so this massive shift, it creates a whole new landscape of winners and losers. The question now becomes, who truly holds the power, no pun intended, in an AI world where energy is king? So on the left, you've got the usual suspects, the names we've all been talking about for years. But now look to the right. That's where you find the new power brokers. The leverage is shifting away from the cloud platforms and straight to the energy suppliers. All of a sudden, utilities and grid operators, they're the indispensable gatekeepers to the entire AI revolution. This table really lays it all out. So who wins? Well, think about the companies building the guts of the grid, the transformer and switchgear manufacturers, or the utilities that have invested heavily in clean, reliable power. Which regions win? Places with tons of cheap electricity and fast-track permitting, like the hydropower-rich Pacific Northwest, or even data hubs popping up in Finland or Sweden. And who's at risk? Well, any company that just treats power as an afterthought, or any region where the grid is already strained and building anything new takes a decade. So how can you spot this trend out in the wild? How can you see this playing out in the headlines? Here are a few key signals you can start watching for right now. First, when a new data center gets announced, don't just look at its size. Dig into the details of its power contract. Second, check the order books of the companies that make all that boring but critical grid equipment like transformers. Third, keep an eye on policy shifts around grid permitting. And finally, track where the big AI investments are actually flowing, because it'll likely be to places with cheap and abundant power. So the big takeaway is this. The old equation for AI success is basically obsolete. The new formula for dominance, it's no longer just about compute. It's about compute,
plus the grid to deliver the energy, plus the raw power itself. You absolutely need all three to win.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. The next time someone asks you to predict who the next big AI winner is going to be, don't just ask them about their algorithms or their chips. Ask them a much simpler, more fundamental question. Where is your kilowatt hour coming from? I guarantee you the answer will tell you more than you think.